that they could go to that level, that any human being could actually go to that level.
So that's Tracy Hunter, just a bit of it. I may play more for you later on in the program. She says it's shocking. Not surprising, but shocking. And damn, fam, that's deep. That is deep. On one hand, it shows that, let's say it's true. It means that whoever her opponents are playing for keeps. They're playing for keeps. This is not a game. I recall having a conversation about a year ago with one of my listeners, callers, and he's like, Nate, they're going to be nice to her. They're going to let her go. And I thought, Negro, please wake up. These people play for keeps. This is a real game. No one's trying to go to jail. No one's trying to be exposed. And that's very, very deep. I want to get your thoughts about it. Can it be true? Here's another question. Why has it taken so long for this to come out? Why wasn't a forensic specialist called in, I don't know, during the first trial? Had this information been uncovered during the first trial, then one can only speculate that perhaps the charges would have been dropped earlier, and perhaps Judge Tracy Hunter would actually still be on the bench. But what's your take about it? Some people are sick to death talking about Tracy Hunter. If that's you, that's how you feel. I understand. I get it. Hey, Tracy, I did get your message. I'm not sure what's going on, but I will check on it. Mike writes, Nate, Dieters and his gang are thugs. Tracy writes, corruption from the top down. Who is going to take on the... I'm not sure what you're trying to say there. Corey writes, smells quite fishy if you ask me. Just imagine them being that careless with murder investigation evidence. Yeah. Brent writes, Hamilton County Commissioners approved an additional $500,000 for the special prosecutors to pursue the appeal in progress. And think about that. Bishop Bobby Hilton he kicked off the press conference, and he made some interesting points. And that is that Hamilton County prosecutors are saying that Tracy Hunter was basically showing favoritism and using her position of influence to favor her brother, who was in a tight spot. But yet the Hamilton County prosecutor is using lawyers that he's got a long-time relationship with. He's putting money in their pocket, and then they're supporting going after somebody who it appears. Again, I'm not Joe Dieters. I've never spoken to Joe Dieters directly. So it appears to me that they have a problem with Tracy Hunter. That seems improper to me. How do your buddies, speaking of Hamilton County prosecutor Joe Dieters, how do your buddies, right, if you want to call them that, your associates, they've already defended you in other matters, personal matters. And now these are the same folks who you use the influence of the county Republican Party, right, Hamilton County Republican Party. They got a majority of Hamilton County commissioners, right? They approve it so that some folks that you know can go after somebody that you don't like. And that's okay. That's wild, fam. That's foul. That's wild. Rhonda writes, remember when one of the calls said last year they was down there taking files, computers out of courthouse? Yeah. Yeah, I do kind of remember that. Yeah, you kind of jogged the memory. I do kind of remember that. Derek writes, that's a damn shame, shaking my head. It is. It's real out there. And that's why I went down, because I want to report back. Because see, what the local media do is they'll just play clips and bits. That's what I did as well. But they'll choose the parts that fit the narrative that they want. I just want to put the information out there so you can make a decision for yourself. Speaking of the decision, we're coming up on Super Tuesday. If you like entertainment, if you're into politics, then hopefully you got a chance to watch the Republican debate last night. I watched it because I was hoping for fireworks. Because Rubio's down. The polls say that in his own state, he is losing to Donald Trump. So I knew that they were going to take off the gloves and go at it. And they did just that. If you didn't watch it, it's worth it. It's worth it for the entertainment. I'm not so sure you're going to get a lot of information out of it, but it's worth it for the entertainment alone. And everyone's saying that Rubio really went after Donald Trump. And check this out.
If he builds the wall the way he built Trump Towers, he'll be using illegal immigrant labor to do it. The second...
So cute. Such a cute soundbite.
But here's the guy
that buys a house for $179,000. He sells it to a lobbyist who's probably here for $380,000, and then legislation is passed. You tell me about this guy. This is what we're going to have.
Here's the guy that inherited $200 million. If he hadn't inherited $200 million, you know where Donald Trump would be right now? Selling watches in Manhattan.
I have to say, he lied this time. He lied. 100%. 100%.
You lied about the Polish workers.
Yeah.
You lied to the students of Trump University.
38 years ago.
He lied 38 years ago. All right, I guess there's a statute of limitation on lies.
Yeah, Rubio definitely, he got some blows in. He definitely got some blows into Donald Trump. He definitely affected Donald Trump for a couple of minutes. But overall, I thought that Trump kept his cool. And Trump kept his cool, and he was surrounded by enemies. On his left, he had Ted Cruz, who's 10-carat Cruz crazy. And on his right, he had Rubio, who will do and say anything to get elected. Now, basically, Rubio is doing to Donald Trump what he did to Barack Obama so he could become a U.S. senator. And that's he's trying to vilify him. Okay? Same deal. And for anybody who's been listening to my flow for any length of time, you know I've made the same point about Rubio. He will say and do anything to get elected. And that's what we saw last night. So it was entertaining. Do I think any more about Rubio than I did before that? No. I knew he had a backbone. I knew he'd say anything. I know he'd bring the claws out. I mean, he got sophomoric at some point. But Trump just kept swinging back. Let me play one more clip for you. This is Trump at the debate swinging back. And then I'll tell you what the conservative polls are saying right now. All conservative media is saying that one person won, and I'll tell you who that is right after this clip. Check this out.
You are all talk and no action. What I've seen up here, I mean, first of all, this guy's a joke artist, and this guy's a liar. You have a combination. This guy always goes. You have a combination of factors. He can't do it for the obvious reason, and he can't do it because he doesn't know how to tell the truth.
What we're seeing with Donald is actually the pattern of Washington, the pattern of Washington deal makers, which is they make promises, they break their words, and then when anyone calls them on it, they call you a liar. And so that's Donald's pattern over and over again. And every time anyone...
And they came to play. It was very, very obvious what the deal was from the very, very beginning. It was very obvious that Rubio had plants in the audience. There's one woman who kept screaming out. From what I understand, she's like been trending overnight online. People are wondering who she is. She's obviously a paid supporter. That's it. I mean, you know, one of his minions, either one of his staffers or somebody paid by his staffers to big him up during debates. It's very, very simple. The polls, however, all the polls are saying that Donald Trump, despite all of the Gilligan-ish behavior last night, was still the winner. I'm on Breitbart.com right now. And if you've never been to Breitbart.com, you ain't missing nothing. Very, very conservative. I go there because I want to get the inside track from time to time. They're reporting that Donald Trump runs 64%. There's a near tie between Ted Cruz and Mark Rubio, senators. Ted Cruz from Texas and Rubio from Florida. Kasich came in as 3%. And Ben Carson came in at 2%. Here's a question, fam. Why is Ben Carson even in a race at this point? He barely got asked any questions. Same thing with Kasich. It seemed like it was a 3-person race last night. Trump, Rubio, Cruz. The other guys are just like add-ons. You know? It's just like one more French fry, right, in the basket of fries. You know, superfluous. Don't really need it. But if you want to jump in and be there for window dressing, go right ahead. It's kind of embarrassing for Ben Carson, actually, because there was one point really early in the debate when I thought, wait a minute, are they ever going to ask a question of Ben Carson? Speaking of asking the questions, can black people ask questions during debates? Because I ain't seen none at all. The only black person I saw ask any questions during any debates that's Democrat and Republican was Don Lemon early on during one of the Democrat debates, and he wasn't even on the stage. He was in the back room with a teleprompter. How can you have all these debates and not one black person asking a question? Where's Gwen Eiffel? Not one. So I just feel like there's a perspective there that is completely getting lost. There is a perspective in both of the debates, Democrat and Republican, that is completely getting lost. Wolf Blitzer, he's cool. Rachel Maddow, she's cool. I mean, they're all right. But damn, homie, you telling me CNN, they don't have anybody black that can ask a question during the debates? Because I ain't seen it. Like I said, I saw Don Lemon early on, and he was in the back of the room. He wasn't even on the stage. I see a bunch of no-name folks. I mean, I know them. I've seen them before, but relatively no-name individuals asking questions from their perspective, from the people that they represent. But what about me? What about us? Ask the tough questions. Listen, I got to take a moment to pause to recognize a real MC. I must do that. I'd be remiss in my duties. We're halfway through the program this morning. I'd be remiss in my duties if I did not do that. And I got to give a special big up to a woman named Ashley Williams. Sister, her name is Ashley Williams. What does she do, Nate? Ashley Williams. And, you know, before I even tell you what she did, what's up with the men these days? Where are black men? Where are the black men? I mean, on the national scene, I see all these courageous sisters standing up, going up flagpoles, right? I seen sisters that went to stage and confronted Bernie Sanders. There were sisters that did all of that. And there was a sister that recently, her name was Ashley Williams. She recently confronted Hillary Clinton. I believe Hillary Clinton was at a fundraiser in South Carolina or a speaking engagement. I believe it was a fundraiser. And this young sister walked straight up to Hillary Clinton with a sign that read, "I am not a super predator." She said, "I am not a super predator."
Not just gangs of kids anymore. They are often the kinds of kids that are called super predators. No conscience, no empathy. We can talk about why they ended up that way, but first we have to bring them to heel.
I don't care if she said it 20 years ago. I don't care if she said it 40 years ago. She needs to be called to the carpet. The question needs to be asked. How is it that Hillary Clinton, and I'm even mad at Bernie Sanders, why hasn't Bernie Sanders brought this up during a debate? And it may not be the thing that scuttles her chances, but at the very least, she should be called on her own words. Do you still believe that there are super predators out there? Oh, Hillary Clinton? And that's exactly what Ashley Williams did. She stood up in front of everybody. This young sister stood up in front of everybody with a sign that read, "I am not a super predator. You need to apologize to black people." And guess what, fam? She is 1,000% correct. At the very least, Hillary Clinton should be made to explain her position from the mid-90s and her evolution to where she is today. It's not enough to gloss over it, not talk about it, and then say, "Hey, I understand better today." No. She must be forced, okay, a part of this process. She must be forced to answer why she said that. Does she still believe that? If not, what was the pivotal moment? Why'd you change your mind? It was beautiful. At one point, there were some folks that walked over to Miss Ashley Williams and they put their hands on her and tried to push her out the room. And that's a no-no. And when that happened, I mean, you know, Ashley Williams kept going. She's like, "Look, we want an apology." And then Hillary Clinton said,
"You know what? Nobody's ever asked me before. You're the first person to ask me, and I'm happy to address it, but you are the first person to ask me."
How can it be that this is her second presidential election and nobody's asked her about her super predator comment? Now, you tell me, am I making too much of it? Is it not relevant? I think it's very relevant. I mean, those words right there were a part of the foundation that led to the mass incarceration of my folks, of your folks, of our sisters, our brothers, our sons, our aunts, uncles. So while she was making and again, this is a white female in the mid-90s, a Democrat. And if you go back to the mid-90s, there were a lot of issues. I mean, you know, crack cocaine explosion in our neighborhoods, all the violence because of it. You had people in the black community that were crying out. They wanted more officers. They wanted more stricter penalties. But I'm here to tell you, folks, that there was another side of the debate. There are people like myself, like back in the mid-90s, that's when I was first beginning my talk radio career. At that point, I was at WAIF, 1996. And even then, I was not on the Clinton bandwagon, and it was for these reasons I'm talking about right now. It didn't make sense. How are you a friend of black folks and you're vilifying black folks? How can you go around our city and play the sax, but then your wife is calling young black males super predators? Can you imagine can you imagine the impact of that in the mid-90s? Super predators? So she's making a psychological case that black people are super predators. And then her husband made the political case and passed all kinds of things that had a disastrous